Hello everybody, how are you? I am so happy to see you here today. Welcome to your speech classroom. I'm pumped that you are here, you're signed in, you're checking out your speech work for the week. And you know, we always start off the week by reading a book together. So I think that I remember Mrs. Cashmere having this book out in the library. As my Gill Hall friends know, I shared a space with Mrs. Cashmere in one of the library offices until around Christmas time. I moved into a different room. So I got to see all of the cool lessons and things that you learned and talked about with Mrs. Cashmere throughout the year. I missed out on some of the things once I moved my rooms, but it was always exciting for me to be able to see a preview of what you guys were working on and learning about and listening to in library for the week, because I use so many books in my speech room as well. So it was neat when I could kind of, use a similar theme as her or do something that tied in with what she was doing. But I think I remember her reading you guys this book, Iggy Peck, Architect. If she did not read it to your class or your grade, I know that this is a really popular book that gets signed out of the Gill Hall and McClellan libraries because it's really cool. It's a really interesting story. If you remember a few weeks ago, I read Ada Twist, Scientist to you guys. That was quite a while ago. That was one of the first books I think I read on my videos, maybe the second or third one. But it's by the same author. Let's see what her name is. Andrea Beatty. Okay, so it's by the same author. And what's really cool about her books are they're all centered around a second grade class of students. And so Iggy Peck Architect is about Iggy, who's in Miss Lila Greer's second grade class. Ada Twist is also in the class. Rosie Revere Engineer is in their class. And what's the last one? Sophia Valdez Future Prez. She is in their class as well. And so when you're looking through the book, and I think I mentioned this in the Ada Twist video, you can see those other characters in the book. So this was the first book that she wrote, but let me show you quickly before we read it, that when you look at the pictures of the class, you can still see all of those characters that are in the later books that she didn't even write yet at this point, whenever she first wrote Iggy. So, Iggy's over here. But then if we look closely, we see here's Ada Twist, Scientist, here's Rosie Revere, Engineer, and here is Sophia Valdez, Future Prez. So whenever we're reading this book at home, we always look at the other classmates and we I wonder which one she'll write a book about next. And that's always fun to talk about and think about and kind of imagine. So if you have any thoughts on that when you're looking at the pictures as we read along, you'll have to let me know who you think might be the next one the author writes about and, what they're meant to be. But these books are all cool because it's about kids that really have passions that they follow. And the common theme through all of them is when their passions are taken away or they get in trouble and they're not allowed to practice their passion anymore, they just become so bored and so sad, and they need to find a way to do their passion in a way that doesn't disrupt the world, their class, and their home around them. And all of the characters seem to find a way to do that. So these books are really cool. So you may have read this one before, like I said. If not, you will enjoy hearing it with me for the first time today. So Iggy Peck Architect is the name of our book. So here's the first inside page here. There's a little Iggy, like a baby Iggy. He's in diapers, and he's just looking at all of these rulers and pencils. And I think that that's there because those are the most important tools that architects use. The most basic, but probably the most important. They're rulers and they're pencils so they can sketch and measure. And that's another thing I like about these books is, I didn't know everything about architects or engineers or even scientists, all of the ways they think and create. And I learned more about them as I read these books. Pretty cool. All right, so let's get started. Young Iggy Peck is an architect and has been since he was 2, when he built a great tower in only an hour with nothing but diapers and glue. Good gracious, Ignatius, his mother exclaimed. That's the coolest thing I've ever seen. But her smile faded fast as a light wind blew past, and she realized those diapers weren't clean. Ignatius, my son, what on earth have you done? That's disgusting and nasty. It stinks. So take a look at this tower that Iggy built. Now, he used what he had, and what he had a lot of when he was little was dirty diapers. I mean, it's a great task. It's a great engineering task, but kind of stinky in a way. His mom is a little perplexed over there. I think she feels the same way, like, that's a really cool tower, but I wish you made it out of something besides stinky diapers. But Iggy was gone. He was out on the lawn using dirt clods to build a great sphinx. So he didn't even hear what his mom had to say. He was already on to his next building project. Look at that. He's designing, and he made a sphinx like the kind they have in Egypt. Wow, look at him. Busy guy. Oh, lost a diaper. Huh. All for the sake of his work. When Iggy was there, his parents could see his unusual passion would stay. He built churches and chapels from peaches and apples, and temples from modeling clay. So I think his parents they're a little more okay with his building materials now. They probably don't want him to waste the food, but they're a little happier that he's using clay instead of diapers, right? At dinner one night, to his father's delight, Iggy got a bright gleam in his eye, and out on the porch built the St. Louis Arch from pancakes and coconut pie. And look at this, he built a little one for his cat. How cool is that? Oh my goodness. Dear Ig had it made until second grade, when his teacher was Miss Lila Greer. On the very first day, she had this to say: we do not talk of buildings in here. Gothic or Romanesque, I couldn't care less about buildings, ancient or new. She said in her lecture about architecture that it had no place in grade 2. So look at what she's doing. She's throwing away all of Iggy's architecture supplies and materials and books about architecture that he was learning right in the garbage. And what's he doing? He's building just like he always does, designing and building. Look at all of his classmates. They kind of know. They see their teachers upset, you know, but they're also, I think, interested in what he's building. So they're kind of torn, like, I know that Iggy's getting in trouble here, but what he's doing is kind of cool, you know? Interesting. That might seem severe, but she was sincere. For when she was no more than 7, she'd had a great fright at a dizzying height in a building so tall it scraped heaven. On an architect's tour of the 95th floor, young Lila got lost from the group. Here she is when she was little. She was found 2 days later in a stuck elevator, eating cheese with a French circus troupe. So they kind of explain why Miss Lila Greer was so mad about Iggy and his architecture dreams, because one time when she was on a tour with an architect of a great building he had designed, when she was a little girl, she got lost and she was stuck in an elevator for 2 days. Can you imagine that? And now I don't think that could really happen. You know, this is a pretend story, it's a fiction story, but that would be an explanation for why she would be so upset about Iggy's architecture. After that day, it's quite safe to say she thought all building lovers were nuts. As a teacher, she thought that above all, one ought to avoid them. No ifs, ands, or buts. Please look at her face. It doesn't look like she had a good experience being stuck in that elevator for 2 days with the French circus troupe. As you might guess, it would cause Iggy stress to hear such terrible talk, but he didn't hear. He just sat in the rear while building a castle of chalk. You, Iggy Peck, your desk is a wreck. Tear down that castle right now. You will not build in here. Is that perfectly clear? Do you need to see Principal How? Wow. So it seems like, his architecture designs and dreams are not an option in the second grade classroom. His teacher's making that very clear. And like I told you guys before, take a look at this. There's Ada Twist. There's Rosie Revere. And there, right in the crack, is Sofia Valdez. There's all our other friends from our other books too. I love to look for them. Now, remember his teacher said, do I need to send you to the principal? No, ma'am, Iggy said, and he lowered his head and his heart sank down to the floor. With no chance to build, his interest was killed. Now second grade was a bore. All his enthusiasm and excitement and passion is just gone. His teacher said no more architecture. After 12 long days that passed in a haze of reading, writing, and arithmetic, Miss Greer took the class to Blue River Pass for a hike and an old-fashioned picnic. So there's the teacher and all the classmates. They have a picnic basket, a thermos full of drinks, all the supplies they need. Do you see Iggy? Let me show you. See him right there at the back? How's he look? He's still bummed out, right? He's still sad. They crossed an old trestle to a small island nestled in the heart of a burbling stream. But they no sooner passed than the footbridge collapsed, and Miss Lila Greer started to scream. We're trapped here, oh my! Alas, kids, goodbye! Her eyeballs rolled back in her head. She dropped to the ground with a vague groaning sound. Luckily, she just fainted, not dead. Look at her. So the class got over this little bridge that led them from this piece of land over to this island where they planned to have their picnic. But right as the last student, Iggy, got onto the island, look what happened. It broke. Oh no, Lila Greer, and there she is. She's stressed out. She doesn't know what's gonna happen. She doesn't know what to do. I think it reminds her of when she was trapped in the elevator. Now she feels like she's trapped on this island and she doesn't know how to help her students. The class was amazed. They stood there quite dazed, uncertain of what they should do. But one bright young man was hatching a plan, which started with Miss Lila's shoe. Soon each lad and lass there at Blue River Pass was working together as one. I think they got a plan. Look at what Iggy's drawing. And when she came to, Miss Lila Greer knew that something quite brave had been done. She looked in the air and saw hanging there a structure with cables and braces. And on the far side, beaming with pride, were 17 smiling young faces. Boots, tree roots, and strings, fruit roll-ups and things, some of which one should not mention, were stretched ridge to ridge in a glorious bridge dangling from shoestring suspension. Look, she's just amazed. Look at what her students built. They got pretty creative, didn't they? They used what they had. They took all the shoestrings out from their shoes. They used shoes. We always laugh at this part. It says, things one should not mention. They even made a flag. What did they make it out of? Why, a pair of underwear, huh? These books are so silly. But, they got the job done. And what did Iggy use? His architecture skills. It all became clear to Miss Lila Greer as she crossed that bridge over the stream. There are worse things to do when you're in grade 2 than to spend your time building a dream. Now, every week at Blue River Creek Elementary in 2nd grade, all the school kids can hear, along with Miss Greer, how the world's great buildings were made. The weekly guest speaker in t-shirt and sneakers talks of buildings from Rome to Quebec. Of course, he's the guy who builds towers from pie, that brilliant young man, Iggy Peck. So Miss Lila Greer realized there was a way for Iggy to use his architecture passion and have it be a part of their classroom and it not be a negative experience for her or take away from the teaching. He really proved himself here that his architecture skills were helpful, and she kind of got over her past fears and, memories and experiences with architecture and, moved on to appreciate what Iggy was interested in. So I absolutely love this book. I hope you guys enjoyed it too. This is my favorite way to kick off my week when I am planning all of your speech lessons for the week. And I hope that you guys enjoy it too. Check out the rest of your assignment. And as always, reach out and let me know if you have any questions at all. And I will talk to you all very soon, my sweet friends. Bye.